ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand Marcos, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Assalamualaikum. I am Charmaine Yalong of the Philippine Department of Trade and Industry, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you to today's Saudi-Philippines Roundtable meeting. For the past year, business roundtable meetings have served as excellent platforms for the Philippine government to provide the international business community updates on our country's economic development and opportunities. Today, we bring together Philippine and Saudi leaders to discuss how we can work together closer in realizing our shared vision of a prosperous and sustainable economy.
Thank you very much, Charmaine. Good morning, good afternoon, Mr. President, Your Excellency Khaled Al-Faleh, our Minister of Investment, and our distinguished guests. Today, I would love to commence the roundtable that comes to commemorate the relations between the two nations that are becoming increasingly fruitful. And we will involve in a 90-minute of discussion on opportunities in 6 different sectors. Let's start with the welcome remarks. And without further ado, I would give the floor right now to the Minister of Investment, His Excellency Khaled Al-Faleh. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Your Excellency, Mr. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., Your Excellencies, Secretaries from the Republic of the Philippines, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. And allow me, on behalf of His Majesty, Custodian of Two Holy Mosques, King Salman, and His Royal Highness, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and the rest of the Saudi government, to extend our very warm welcome to His Excellency, the President of the Philippines, and specifically to welcome the entire Filipino delegation, as well as my colleagues from Saudi Arabia, to this roundtable discussion, which I am sure is going to be quite fruitful and impactful on the relationship between our two friendly nations. Mr. President, I'm sure you will know that diplomatic relations between our nations were established over half a century ago, 1969 to be exact, under the leadership of another remarkable Ferdinand Marcos, your late father. And of course, I am from an age bracket that remembers the era of Ferdinand Marcos Sr., who brought so much to the Philippines and who became an icon on the world stage. In September last year, Mr. President, you received our Minister of Foreign Affairs, His Highness Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, and he reported very, very highly of the meeting and your warm welcome and your outlook on improving the relationship, which is already very good, by the way, between our two countries. And it's an honor to see you here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on your first visit as President of the Philippines, primarily to attend the summit of ASEAN GCC tomorrow, but also to hold talks with His Royal Highness Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and today to reach out to our business community and cement the strong economic ties, people-to-people ties that already exist between our two nations. The Philippines, for those of you who don't know, is the world's 40th largest economy, not a small economy by any means. However, its potential is much higher. It is today, under your leadership, one of the fastest growing markets, with expectation to double its GDP from 2022 to 2030. Key to your success has been the unique strength and competitive advantage of Filipino talent, renowned around the world for their work ethic. They're English speaking, well skilled, tech savvy, and service oriented. And Filipinos have made their mark across the globe, and I see them in very high tech as well as leadership positions when I travel around the world. This is true also here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, proud to be home to the largest Filipino population in the Middle East. We're pleased at the success we have seen so far, and given the extensive reforms being driven under your Philippine Development Plan, we're very excited about the future of partnership between our two nations. Mr. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we too in Saudi Arabia have an ambitious vision for economic development, driven by widespread reforms and investment. Through Vision 2030, Saudi Arabia has embarked on an ambitious economic growth and diversification journey that can bring benefits and opportunities to partners across the world. For as much as the Kingdom attracts FDI, we also wish to grow the footprint of our own outbound investment-friendly nations like the Philippines. Since we launched Vision 2030 7 years ago, our GDP has risen 66%. Our FDI has more than quadrupled. And last year, we became the fastest growing economy in the G20. We forecast that by the end of this decade, our investment opportunities will exceed $3.3 trillion US dollars, translating into tremendous opportunities for companies and investors across all sectors from around the world, and we trust some of them will be from the Philippines, just as much as we are confident that more Saudi investors will be investing in the Philippines. Mr. President, today we want to connect you to key Saudi investors with impressive success stories to share and with a desire to continue building their international presence by investing with partners across the globe, the Philippines being a key one. To begin, we want to discuss today finance. We know that the Philippines is looking not only to drive innovations, for example, by moving to a cashless society by 2030, but also to mobile finance. Saudi Arabia, in our own right, has a highly successful banking sector, and several funds are looking to expand their investment here and internationally. And I'm very pleased that we are joined today by leaders in this sector from Saudi Arabia who are eager to hear more about the investment opportunities in one of ASEAN's most exciting markets and learn more about the newly launched Maharalika Investment Fund that you have launched under your administration. Next, we would like to touch on energy and chemicals, as the Philippines is working towards energy self-sufficiency by the end of the decade. Renewable energy will play an important role in the mix. And while Saudi Arabia is known as a leading oil producer, and we have been your leading supplier of petroleum, our energy future also encompasses major investments in renewable projects. One of them, that is today the global leader, is NEOM's green hydrogen, as well as the world's largest blue hydrogen system to be built by Saudi Aramco. Our efforts in the energy sector also has positioned us to become a leader in petrochemicals. And I'm very pleased that we have several national champions, and indeed the global champions in these three areas: oil and gas, green and blue hydrogen, renewable production from solar, wind, desalination, and of course, SABIC and petrochemicals. Another key sector where we could discuss areas for collaboration is industry and logistics. We know how vital this sector will be to the Philippines' growth as a regional manufacturing hub, and that there are opportunities to deepen this partnership. In Saudi Arabia, we're planning to invest more than 133 billion US dollars by the end of this decade across aviation, railways, ports, maritime services, and logistic hubs, underpinned by our national transport and logistics strategy. With us to discuss the opportunities in this sector, we see a number of key private sector actors represented, and they will be speaking with you, Mr. President. Tourism is another key sector for us, where we have a goal of reaching over 100 million visits annually and increasing tourism share of GDP from less than 3% before Vision 2030 to 10% by 2030. The Philippines is known for the richness of its culture and the beauty of its landscape, has long drawn tourists from all over the world, including more than 12,000 visitors from Saudi Arabia in the first 9 months of this year, and I'm sure this number will continue to increase as we open more direct flights and create more packages for Saudi tourists to enjoy your beautiful country. You undoubtedly have many tourism lessons to share with us, and we look forward to working together as we both aim to grow tourism, and particularly ecotourism, in the years to come. I'm sure you'll also know, Mr. President, that we have many investors in Saudi Arabia who invest globally in real estate development, in mixed-use facilities, and in tourism. And some of them are with us in this group that would be willing to explore opportunities to grow real estate developments and tourism in the Philippines. Labor, as I mentioned, is an area that is important to both of us, and it is indeed your competitive advantage. And there is considerable collaboration, not the least through the 130,000 Filipino nurses working tirelessly to provide amazing patient care across the kingdom. We are fortunate to have a number of leaders from this sector, human resource attraction and development, with us, who are already investing and growing the kingdom's healthcare sector, where there will be considerable demand for skilled labor. Finally, agriculture, which is an area where we know the Philippines has considerable strengths and much unused potential, with the sector accounting for nearly 10% of GDP and around a quarter of your employment. In Saudi Arabia, we're looking to expand our agriculture sector and strengthen our food security. And also here we have several national champions in food security and agriculture that I'm sure would love to invest in the Philippines to improve the yield of your agriculture sector, food processing and manufacturing, logistics, and the export potential of that sector. So, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, before I conclude, let me stress that we view the Philippines as not only a critical, large company that is growing very fast, country that is growing very fast, which is important in its own right. We also see the Philippines as a bridge to the ASEAN region and to the rest of Asia. And I trust that you consider Saudi Arabia as well, Your Excellency, your strategic entry point to the Middle East. So in closing, let me reiterate our warm welcome, our sincere appreciation to Your Excellency, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., for taking the time to meet with the Saudi business delegation and hear from them and give them guidance so they can materialize and action the great opportunities that are still to be realized between our two countries. Thank you very much. Salamat maraming po.
Thank you very much for your warm welcome, Your Excellency. To formally open the meeting and highlight the trade and investment opportunities available for Saudi companies in the Philippines, I am pleased to introduce Honorable Alfredo Pascual, Secretary of Trade and Industry of the Philippines. Sir?
Thank you. His Excellency President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., our gracious hosts from the Saudi government, the partners from the private sector of Saudi Arabia, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. I'm pleased to share the privilege of welcoming you to this roundtable meeting with Minister Khalid Al-Fali of Saudi Ministry of Investments, which graciously co-organized this event with our Department of Trade and Industry. Next week, the Philippines and Saudi Arabia will celebrate 54 years of formal diplomatic relations, marking decades of mutually beneficial political, socio-cultural, educational, economic, and labor relations. We need to congratulate ourselves for these decades of mutual and beneficial relations. The decades ahead are for further strengthening and enriching our relations. In 2022, our bilateral trade was valued at 2.2 billion US dollars, yet trade opportunities are more abundant. We look forward to working with the Kingdom in further realizing our trade potential. The Philippines offers such export products as machinery and electronic equipment, vehicles, seafood, manufactured goods, wood, paper, rubber, and plastics. We further offer Saudi our exported services across highly competitive sectors such as construction and engineering, franchising, IT, business process management, and tourism and related travel services. Through this meeting, we hope to be able to encourage Saudi businesses to explore investment opportunities in the Philippines. Let me spend a minute or two just to present the factors that make our country an attractive investment destination. The Philippines is nestled in the vibrant heart of Southeast Asia, the ASEAN. It is blessed with abundant natural resources and a young, dynamic workforce, highly trainable. We have a large domestic market, given a population of 117 million and a growing middle class with strong purchasing power. The Philippines is at a turning point of a transformative journey. As we champion economic inclusivity and propel ourselves forward, we are molding the Philippines into a prime investment destination. We are actively seeking investments in vital sectors as finance, Islamic banking, tourism infrastructure, renewable energy and petrochemicals, infrastructure and logistics, digital innovations, and agri-business. Minister Khalid Al-Fali has covered in detail the opportunities in these sectors, so I will not elaborate. When you decide to do business in the Philippines, you are assured of our domestic consumers and access to a bigger market, that is the ASEAN and the RCEP economies that cover roughly 30% of the world's population. To enhance our enabling environment for investment and improve the ease of doing business in our country, we have undertaken significant legal and regulatory reforms, which further liberalize key sectors, including public services, retail, and renewable energy. Just very recently, we made renewable energy open to 100% foreign ownership. The Philippines' digital ecosystem is ready to welcome more players in e-commerce, fintech, and digital services. We have also streamlined our fiscal incentives and tax holidays to safeguard the interest of foreign investors. In 2022, we reached a defining milestone. The Philippines achieved an impressive GDP growth rate of 7.6%, securing our place as one of the fastest growing economies in the ASEAN community. The screen before us shows the comparative numbers. The Philippine growth rate was primarily driven by robust performance in industrial and service sectors. In the first half of 2023, our GDP grew by 5.4%, outperforming several neighboring countries such as Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand, and Singapore. The Asian Development Bank forecasts the Philippine economy to grow by 5.7% this year. By 2033, our nation is poised to join the exclusive club of $1 trillion economies in the Asia Pacific. Ladies and gentlemen, the Philippines is open for business, and I invite you to partner with us. Together, let us make it happen in the Philippines. Thank you. Sukoram Jasilan.
Thank you, Secretary Pascual, for your comprehensive overview of the Philippine economy and the key elements of the Philippines' growth strategy. I now have the pleasure to call on Honorable Benjamin Diokno, Secretary of Finance, to provide more information about the opportunities for Saudi investors in the Philippine financial sector.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having us here in the dynamic city of Riyadh, the economic powerhouse of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Today, I'll talk about investment opportunities for Saudi investors in the Maharlika Investment Fund and the emerging Islamic banking sector in the Philippines. Right at the beginning of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s administration, the Philippine government set its sight on establishing institutions for long-term investments with a singular vision: a better quality of life for generations of Filipinos to come. The Maharlika Investment Fund was created for this purpose. As a catalyst for economic advancement, the Maharlika Investment Fund is designed to promote economic development through strategic investments in high-growth sectors that support the Philippines' long-term economic development as detailed in the 8-point socioeconomic agenda and the Philippine Development Plan 2023-2028. To achieve this, Maharlika aims to attract capital from both domestic and global equity investors, including large funds here in the Middle East, seeking to diversify its portfolio in fast-growing emerging markets like the Philippines. Investments in Maharlika are intended to quicken the implementation of the country's 197 infrastructure flagship projects worth around $153 billion. The infrastructure flagship projects focus on upgrading physical and digital connectivity, transport, agriculture, health, energy, water, and climate resilience. These projects offer high rates of return and large socioeconomic impact. Under the physical connectivity sector, there are 121 projects worth around $122 billion and 44 projects in the water sector worth about $15 billion. The fund also presents exciting opportunities for green and blue investments, ESG-linked fixed income instruments, and cutting-edge technologies with the advent of artificial intelligence and cloud computing. Maharlika seeks to work with other sovereign wealth funds, both as an investment partner and peer in the global sovereign wealth fund community. We look forward to exchanging views and learning from the best practices of top-of-class funds, such as those here in Saudi Arabia. On funding sources, the Maharlika Investment Corporation is granted authorized capital stock of around $8.9 billion. Out of this total, $6.6 billion are common shares for the exclusive subscription of the national government and its instrumentalities. The remaining $2.2 billion are preferred shares open for subscription of the national government, as well as reputable private financial institutions and corporations. Apart from subscription in the corporation, both private and state-owned financial institutions and corporations alike can invest at the fund level. That is, private capital may specifically target sub-funds, such as, for example, green and blue funds. Safeguarding the fund and your investments is a top priority. The Maharlika Investment Fund is founded on the Santiago Principles, reflecting appropriate governance and accountability mechanisms and the conduct of sound and prudent investment practices by sovereign wealth funds. Financial reporting shall be in accordance with the relevant international financing reporting standards and principles. There will be 3 layers of audit based on law by an internal auditor, a third-party external auditor, and a supreme audit agency independent of the government. We look forward to your partnership and investments as we proceed with a full operationalization of the fund by the end of 2023. Now let me present opportunities in the Philippines Islamic finance sector. The Philippines, with Muslims comprising 8% of the total population, recognize the considerable potential of Islamic banking and financing in driving economic growth and prosperity for all Filipinos. Recently approved legal reforms on Islamic banking and finance are solid basis for the expansion of a robust Islamic finance ecosystem in the Philippines. And this is complemented by a reasonable flexibility in the design and delivery of key policies. The Philippine Central Bank has adopted a single regulatory framework for both Islamic and conventional banks, enabling them to thrive on a level playing field. This is evident in its regulations on licensing of Islamic banks and banking units, liberalized modes of entry for foreign banks, and relaxation of minimum capitalization requirements for Islamic banking units. Prudential incentives are also offered to encourage the entry of new players. Relevant government authorities have issued relevant policies on tax neutrality and takaful, or Islamic insurance, to support the sector's development. At the core of our diverse investment opportunities in Islamic finance is a favorable regulatory environment reinforced by an independent Sharia supervisory board. We invite potential investors from the Middle East to explore our diverse investment opportunities in Islamic finance to serve the Philippines' large, untapped Islamic consumer market. In closing, let me picture the future of Philippine-Saudi economic ties with an African proverb. It goes, if you want to run fast, run alone. If you want to run far, run together. So we look forward to reaching new horizons with you, our Saudi partners, in the years to come. Shukran.
Thank you, Secretary Jokno. Indeed, there are many opportunities for our countries to foster stronger trade and investment ties. Thank you for your presentation. At this point, I wish to invite Secretary Pascual to introduce our keynote speaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to introduce the President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos, Jr.
Thank you, Secretary Pascual. Minister Khalid Al-Fali, distinguished guests from the Saudi government and the business sectors, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of the Philippine delegation, I wish to thank you all for participating in today's roundtable meeting. I also wish to thank the Saudi Ministry of Investment for co-organizing this meeting with the Department of Trade and Industry. I am pleased to note that the immense support that the ministry, led by His Excellency Minister Khalid Al-Fali, has provided us in making this event possible. It is my first visit to the region since I assumed the presidency in June of 2022, and I am most grateful to be welcomed by your confidence in the Philippines and the Filipino people. The kingdom is home to the largest population of overseas Filipinos in the world, as close to at around 1 million OFWs, or overseas Filipino workers, as well as the largest community of Filipino professionals in industries such as engineering, architecture, and healthcare. I also wish to acknowledge the valuable contributions of the companies who are taking part in strengthening this cooperation. With an estimated value of over 120 million US dollars, the agreements that will be signed today are set to benefit more than 15,000 Filipinos in training and employment opportunities across a wide range of professions in the construction industry. To our current and future business partners, I hope that this meeting has served as an excellent platform for building greater and closer partnerships between the Philippines and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This meeting happens at such an opportune time as the Philippine economy continues its high growth trajectory. Our economy has sustained its growth momentum with gross domestic product at 7.6% in the last year, the fastest rate of growth recorded by the Philippines since 1976. Meanwhile, foreign direct investments posted 9.2 billion US dollars in net inflows last year. Our financial and banking sectors are healthy and robust. Our credit rating continues to receive stable and positive investment grades. Indeed, the Philippines' economic achievements in the past year reflect the sustained efforts of this administration, supported by the private sector in fostering an enabling business environment, cutting red tape, lowering the cost of doing business, and improving competitiveness. I assure you that the Philippine government is steadfast in its commitment to continuously support current and prospective Saudi investors. The Philippines has initiated important legislative amendments to existing laws to further open the economy to foreign investments. These include the Foreign Investments Act, the Retail Trade Liberalization Act, the Public Services Act, the Renewable Energy Act, all of which aim to attract more foreign investments in important sectors such as telecommunications, port operations, transportation, and clean energy. Moreover, foreign investors are able to enjoy fiscal incentives made available through the Corporate Recovery and Tax Incentives for Enterprises Act. I urge you to further engage with my economic team to learn more about such benefits. We also stand ready to welcome you to our tropical countries so you may personally see what a globally competitive Philippines can offer. At the forefront of these opportunities is the recently launched Maharlika Investment Fund, the Philippines' first ever sovereign investment fund designed to drive long-term economic development through increased investments in high-impact sectors. We look forward to benefiting not just from Saudi investments, but also from the Kingdom's extensive experience in managing such funds. So as we take part in the ASEAN GCC Summit currently being hosted by the Kingdom, we continue to reaffirm our readiness for deeper economic partnerships, not just within the Southeast Asian region, but as well as with our extended neighbors here in the Gulf. We hope that the Philippines will be your chosen gateway to the ASEAN and Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP economies, which was earlier spoken about. And on that note, I hope that the Saudi business leaders present here today will further make it happen in the Philippines. I look forward to seeing that this meeting we will further engage our two countries and will develop and explore opportunities that as yet we have not discussed between our two countries. We hope we hope to see all of you to visit the Philippines, to see what the opportunities are, and for us as well, for our part in the Philippines, to bring our teams to the kingdom. And further, we already have a very strong and a very long-standing people-to-people relationship, which can serve as a very good foundation for any future endeavors between our two countries. However, we should not limit ourselves alone to the labor market. We should also explore the new businesses that have come up since the end of the pandemic economy. And that is the area where I think that the GCC and ASEAN will find as a fertile ground for future investment, and also for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Republic of the Philippines to further strengthen the ties, not only in trade, but in areas of telecommunication, healthcare, energy, and even agriculture, as what's been spoken about. The central tenet of our plans for development in the Philippines is very much to regard our private sectors as partners in this development program. We recognize that government is good at many things, but there are other things that the private sector does better. And with that partnership, we can look forward to further growth, further strengthening of our relationships, and a better future for both our countries. Thank you. Maraming salamat. Shukron.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. President. Now we move to the moderated open discussion.
Officer of EEI Corporation. We have Mr. Min Suko, Board Member of Samsung Engineering NEC Company Limited, and Mr. Mohammed Nifati, Chief Executive Officer of Samsung Engineering NEC. This agreement between EEI Corporation and Samsung Engineering aims to meet the development objectives of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, as well as to aid in the 8-point economic agenda of President Marcos and the Philippine Development Plan 2023-2028, particularly on reducing unemployment and underemployment with better job opportunities. Under this agreement, a 500-person capacity training facility will be established to upskill Filipino employees in the fields of masonry, carpentry, electrical, welding, equipment management, warehousing, steel fabrication, and other construction-related crafts starting 2024. This facility targets to train at least 2,000 Filipinos a year and more than 15,000 in the next 5 years. We commend EEI Corporation and Samsung Engineering for your commitment to fostering and nurturing Filipino talent. Thank you very much. May we request our companies to please stand up and have a photo opportunity with our president. Yes, we conclude. So I'll just thank them for this, and then I'll give it to you. Today, we have just witnessed the signing of agreement that will create greater economic growth and prosperity for the Philippines and Saudi Arabia. We thank the President for his presence as he witnessed this signing. On behalf of the Philippine government, we also thank MISA for hosting the event and our Saudi Arabian counterparts for believing in our shared belief of greater economic growth and prosperity. Saud?
Thank you very much. We have a photo session, please. A group photo? Not a group, no. Actual photo. Hello, thank you very much. It's a pleasure. طيب.
لو سمحت رشيد
شكرا. Sam. While we're taking photos, I want to take the chance to conclude this meeting today, as this is the end of the round table. After this, I would like to draw the attention that after this meeting we have a dinner. So please, our colleagues will be guiding everyone to the venue. Yes, and right now I invite the Philippine side to take a photo with our side as well. أنا آخر مرة حوقف ورا المايك يعني. Excellencies, this is dinner time. Yes, please. Excellencies, we are hosting a dinner right now. Please, please follow us. زملائنا والحضور الكرام، ندعوكم الآن إلى مأدبة العشاء على شرف حضور رئيس الفلبين وبضيافة معالي وزير الاستثمار خالد الفالح. تفضلوا على العشاء. في دور الميزانين.